Okay, so I needed to explain a few things to this one. It seems, Stephen, you're not able to comprehend intersex conditions very properly, and I understand you've been a bit brainwashed by someone in the medical field, of which who use their expertise to make you vulnerable. It's basically easy to believe anything he tells you. But you have to understand, just look at the history of people in the medical field and in the professional field of this, basically. The main ones who hurt intersex people were medical professionals in the past, specifically intersex babies. Intersex babies throughout our history have been mutilated by medical professionals because people dictated them to be male or female, and they physically destroyed their body parts, their genitalia, to make it look and appear like male or females. They literally removed their reproductive organs, of which they felt were no longer of any use, and tried to make them only have one reproductive line of just basically one reproductive organ, basically. So that's why I have a lot of issues with the person you had on your show, because that type of mentality of saying that people who are intersex are male or female are the same type that want to hurt intersex babies, sexualize intersex babies, and to basically make their genitals more conventional, so to speak, as they think, male or female, when people are not just male or female. People are male, female, and some are both. This is just the truth. Now, I know you tried to change it from gonads to gametes, poor little thing. I thought that would change something. That's very odd, in my opinion. With this idea, it's under the idea that someone's reproductive organs work at all, for that matter, when one may not have reproductive organs that specifically are functional enough to reproduce. So that idea of saying gametes was kind of immature, because you didn't realize some people have ovotestes, and their ovotestes may not be reproductive to procreate and create a child. Now, some can too. It depends on the individual. Some people have an ovary on one side and a testicle on the other side. So then they would have sperm and an ovary. So, I mean, like, you trying to say that this would somehow distinguish male from female and make every intersex person a male or female is the whole guise and lie that you were sold, that told you that there was just male and female sexes. It isn't. There's male, female, and there is intersex. You can say that people who are both are a combination of two sexes, yes, but that clearly is not male or female. You can't say an intersex person is male or female only. They are male and female. And as I was saying previously, gametes, gonads, are not the only way to determine someone's sex. This is very immature. This is like caveman style of defining sexes, saying who can reproduce which way. Because then you're basically saying women who are menopausal, that they are neither male or female because they can't reproduce to begin with. People who are sterile, you're saying they can't reproduce, so I guess they're neither male or female. This is stupid, okay? So using the gametes is not very mature. But of course he tried to do that to try and say that, hey, there's no combination of ovaries and sperm that creates a baby. Yes, but there are individuals who don't have sperm or ovaries. And there are individuals who have sperm and ovaries. So this definition of him trying to go around trying to say that the binary is ovaries to sperm did not work, because there's some people with both characteristics. See, that's what I mean. You need to understand what you're talking about. Otherwise, you just seem like you're brainwashing. You were fed a certain agenda without going in with your own agenda, your own idea, your own knowledge. Just come up with looking it up yourself. You don't have to hear from some guy who's right-wing and trying to basically convince you that people are male or female in sex. You can actually look up the information yourself, and it would have shown you that people can have sperm and ovaries at the same time as reproductive organs and gametes. So that's all I was trying to say here, was that for me, you tried to say I listed several intersex conditions to disprove the guy. No, I am very knowledgeable on a specific condition, chimerism, because I have chimerism myself. So I know all the ins and outs. Some people with chimerism are intersex, some aren't. It depends. I think a majority of us who have chimerism are not intersex, because we combine with our sisters and our brothers genetically. So then we are not both sexes, because between a brother and a brother, or a sister and a sister, well, we are both the same sex. And this combination happens in vitro, obviously. This is how it's two twins basically combined together genetically to create a human that is a combination of both sisters or both brothers. And I have chimerism. Now, sometimes chimerism is not same-sex siblings that combine. Sometimes it's a brother and a sister that can combine. And this happens very often, actually. There are some ideas that chimerism occurs on some level in people. At least like 1 in 20 people have some form of chimerism. That's 5% of the population. This is of people of the same sex, but people of the opposite sex, obviously, probably are less, but no one really actually knows the percentages of that. This is how you know that when people say intersex conditions are rare, well, that's not true, because chimerism is very common. It's hypothesized to be very common. So then there are a lot of people out there that actually have their brother's DNA while being predominantly female, but they're intersex in all reality. Or the other way around, it goes both ways. But this is why I know a lot about chimerism, because chimerism basically can cause someone to have ambiguous genitalia. It can cause someone to have ovatestes, and it can cause that person to have one ovary and one testicle. So when you talk about gametes, well, for chimeras, this can definitely occur. Someone could have sperm and someone could have ovaries at the same time. So you can't say that someone's gamete is going to be male or female, because their gamete could be male and it could be female at the same time. Then obviously, like I said, there's people with ovatestes. There's people with gonadal streaks too, and obviously they don't have sperm or ovaries in that case. So, even in other cases, this just isn't going to apply to everybody. And this is such a 3-year-old way of trying to define sex, to try to basically avoid acknowledging intersex people. See what base level you've deduced yourself to. because you didn't want to admit that intersex people existed. That's just sad. And it's sad that an evolutionary biologist, would reduce itself to a 3-year-old way of viewing sex. I mean, there's way more things to determine sex. We aren't even conceived with our gonads. And that's an important thing to note. We are not conceived with our gonads, which tells you that we are something before we even develop gonads. There are plenty of male people who are born with Muller ducts, and there's a whole syndrome for that. Are they no longer male because they were born with Muller ducts when they were actually literally born with XY chromosomes when they were conceived? This is why genetics matter more than a gonad or a gamete, especially when a gonad and a gamete can be removed. With that idea, you would think that someone who is a transsexual could change their sex, obviously, because they can remove their gamete. They can remove their gonads. That is not someone changing their sex. This has been well discussed in the past. People have said this over and over again. You can't change your sex, but you would basically be supporting the idea that you can change your sex, which transgender people have admitted that they can't change their sex, but you think they can because you can remove their gonads and gametes. You see. And to me, it's just like, I don't know, it's just interesting that you would think that. I want to also say in this is that, it's obvious that you can't change your sex. Because if you could change your sex, like I said, you would be able to change your genetics. Your genetics are your chromosomes. Your sex chromosomes can never change. Your bone structure can never change. Your DNA can never change, right? Those are the things that define your sex, not a gonad, especially when these gonads and these gametes are no longer even in existence for postmenopausal women. So that's what I mean. Making that distinction between sex was ignorant. It was completely ignorant. And I understand the reason why he went to that ignorant level was because in the medical community, they've constantly tried to erase the existence of intersex people. They went to extreme lengths of basically putting a newborn baby under gender assignment surgery, sex assignment surgery, basically, and basically changing their genitals to appear male or female. This is what the medical community has done systematically throughout history, and they've tried to hide it from the intersex people in the past. This is just important to point out because with these type of people, of course they're going to try to lie to you. Of course they're going to try to make it seem like there's only male and female, and that intersex people are just broken people that they are trying to fix, which is what he tried to make intersex people out to be, because that's how the medical community sees it. And to me, this is the type of mentality that encourages transsexuality. See, they say that they are broken, and therefore they are fixing themselves to look female or male because they societally don't fit the gender of male or females. And they feel like, so they change their bodies to fit what they can performatively be, basically. This is all due to society. The transsexual getting surgery is no different than the doctor performing unnecessary mutilation surgery on a baby that is intersex to try and make it one sex or another. None are different from the other, and they both understand each other if you really pay attention. They both have the same perspective, and that is that they are fixing something they think is wrong because of nature. See, neither of them like the true nature of the person they are changing. The intersex baby, they don't like that nature, that God made the child intersex. And in the case of transgender people, they're not happy with the fact that God made them a male or a female. So they both have an issue with how someone's body is naturally. In total, I want to also say for the transgender person, I don't believe in gender specifically, and I think that if they were to leave that idea, they would be able to accept their bodies. I think that everyone should accept their body, whether they're intersex, male or female, trans or not. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe.